Hey guys, how are you? You can see a tiny sprinkling of snow up there. Tiny. Wow. Speaking once to a vet, and he was telling me, he said, you just never hear it snows every single year. And he did a lot of work up in the mountains of Wicklow Mountains. So he was out and about. Anyway, so that was my mistake, and we often make mistakes. We're all only human, but there's certain things that really set us off course when it comes to constructions and mistakes. So this video is about I'll probably ramble on a little bit because there's one or two more that I think need to be into it. I won't go too far. Too long on it though. So beautiful morning, it's great to be out and about. The first mistake that I see people making is not having a budget, not having it locked in, not knowing what that upper limit is, not knowing what they're working to, not understanding what type of finishes that budget will or will not afford them. So not having the budget tied in. It's even the number, well, ultimately it's about a number, and it's about pressure and lifestyle and strain and stress, and it's about having honest conversations. I can remember very clearly one member of a family telling me that the kitchen was going to be double what the other member of the family thought the kitchen was going to be, and that person was going to get their kitchen. And I just remember thinking, God, no, stress and strain of that is too much. So people need to be aligned about the budget as well. They need to understand it. The dialogue with some architects are really good around this. Other architects give it lip service. The reality is, architects don't want you to know this, but it's my job to inform you. They want you to go to plan. So often costs and design of costs and implications of costs are not really scrutinized that much by the architect because it may not be in their best interest, and that's a reality. Because most architects kind of split their fee base, and before construction, planning, design stages, and then construction, then final, and then after project services. But most of their fees are 60%, 70% are up the planning phase. So if a project doesn't go ahead, they're actually all in. And the headaches and the problems are usually in construction phase. So they may not necessarily be aligned. And then understanding what the true cost of construction is, to understand what it's going to cost you and your family, time, effort, stress, strain, all of the other factors that come into play, rather than just being at the financial one. Incomplete drawings, going for a cheaper design. There was one company run by lovely fellas. I think it's just guys. But they went to the Ideal Homes exhibition, and they put a package together for homeowners, and they were uberly successful, and so much so they ended up being flooded and they couldn't do the amount of work. And their services and their drawings, I think it's about 10 years ago. They've since dissolved that business, and they're now both individual practitioners, is my understanding. But they got so busy they couldn't keep it up. So they were duplicating work. There was incomplete drawings, there was no finishing work, there was no construction drawings. Everything just cascaded. Guys are making loads of money, but they were hardly sleeping, and they had to employ more people. It just got out of hand. I think that they were subcontracting half of the architects in Dublin. So it just cascaded very, very, very quick. There's also as well need to be totally aligned with not only an incomplete budget, but you need to understand the scope of the architect and what the architect is actually, how much effort and time, how many site visits, how many revisions, what's the norm, what is going to be their rate beyond the initial 8 visits that they say if the project goes on. Do they charge you by month? Do they charge you by visit? What is the extra variations, extra drawings? You need to understand their fee bases, and most of them are highly intelligent. Well, they're all highly intelligent, but they're decent people, and they will be more than transparent with you regarding this. Choosing the lowest contractor, it can work out. I'm not against it. What I usually would suggest is if there's a range of 3 or 4 guys, and it's usually guys, and they're all in around the same price. So let's say you're doing something for 500,000, 750 up to $1 million, and you got 3 or 4 guys for in 20 or 30 grand with each other. I'd be inviting all 3 or 4 of them to come and look at the job. I'd be seeing which one the homeowner gets on best with. Recently there was a job in D6, and the homeowner genuinely felt he could trust both of the builders. He liked both of them. I think there was €1,000 between them, but he went with one over the other because he'd seen the logo. He knew the company. The company was located in D6 as well. So localness just swung for him. I'm not quite sure if that was the lowest guy or the more expensive guy. I actually can't remember. But they were within €1,000 of each other. So lowest one can work out, but due diligence needs to be done. Like, there's no point in just going for the lowest budget for the sake of it. Just no. Needs to be explained, needs to be analysed, the company needs to be analysed. And the methodology that I suggested in inviting 3 or 4 guys is to see how well you get on with and how aligned you are, because if your gut tells you something, then you don't go with that guy. And then after that, you got to go and check financial records. And there's no point in checking financial records for a year or 2. You need to go back and check 3-4 years ago. Personally, I feel that's my role, to do due diligence. And so that's the big mistake. The not having enough time for the design phase, that can lead to all sorts of complications, or not fully understanding design phase. Because if you're not fully understanding design phase, then you going to end up with something you don't want, or something you didn't appreciate. Getting 3Ds works out so well. I know that they need all the levels to be put in before them. I actually did a BIMS course. Absolutely loved it. I loved it. The only thing about it was it made me feel so inadequate, because all of the other guys and girls were already using Revit and the information, all of the other software packages. So I was way behind on it, but it was a great learning curve, and it was great to meet great people. So 3D modeling is something I'd be a big fan of. Unfortunately, it often costs more, and it may not be financially viable for homeowners. So not assembling the right team, not the right architect. The right architect, usually people come and they approach an architect first. Sometimes they approach me, quantity surveyors, which is fine, we get the ball rolling, but not assembling the right team, not having the right engineer, not having the right, that can be crucial, because often the engineer will have a relationship with the local county council or heritage company or department. So not assembling the right engineer, the right architect, the right quantity surveyor. You may not feel you need one, and that's totally appropriate. Things tend to slide if you don't, but and the right builder. And so it's better if all of these have worked together. In an ideal world, you're getting an architect and a builder who've all worked together, who are transparent, who have a relationship, whose relationships are ongoing, and they will also go into the future as well. That is a better scenario. The biggest mistake, and I really, really implore people, please, it's going to cost you 30, 40, 50 euros, get a contract. Don't get their contract. Don't never ever on the face of this planet ever use a contract called the CIF and Law Society contract of 2001. It is beyond biased towards builders, and it gives you very little power and nearly excludes the role of the quantity surveyor. Please, 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 go to the Royal Institute of Ireland. They have a shop on Merrion Square, on the north side of Merrion Square. There's usually parking outside. The door's funky, it kind of opens automatically. Go into the library. If you're doing a big job, a small job, white is fine, white contract. If you're doing a bigger job, the pink one. For me, if you're doing a big job, the blue. The blue is the best one, but I'll do another video on the contracts. But please, please, no DIY, no contracts from builders, because what they do is they can look really officious, but often what they'll do is they'll take a standard contract and they'll put their own version on it. Okay, so there are the mistakes. I said 7 and I went to 8. Probably overkill, but there's so much of this that needs to be done right and to be explained. I'm not saying I'm explaining it right at all, but it does clarify things, and these videos make it easier for my clients, so we get on the same page quicker. Okay, thanks guys.